Joining me now is France 24's terrorism specialist, Wassim Nasr. Hello, Wassim. There's much conflicting information about clashes that have been ongoing between Al-Qaeda militants and members of the Islamic State group.
Yes, actually, in the last few days, we had very contradictory information about Al-Qaeda gaining ground in the Gourma in Mali and the Islamic State losing territory. We have a map that you might that we can play where you can see the territorial control of both either the Islamic State or Al-Qaeda. What we see in green is the Islamic State, in yellow is Al-Qaeda, and the small dots in white in between are the region where they are fighting each other. So the situation didn't change despite what we heard last week. Still, in the Gourma, it's the same, and in Burkina Faso, north of Gorom, there is a slightest change profiting Al-Qaeda, but as a whole, the situation did not move, knowing that Gorom is where France lost 2 special forces there in 2019, rescuing 4 hostages, 2 French, 1 American, and 1 South Korean. At the same time, we had information from Niger regarding the arrest of 2 Islamic State leaders, and at the end of the day, we knew that there was a confusion about their identity. Actually, yes, there were arrests, but they were not those important leaders or prominent leaders that were announced in local media and even by the international press at some point.
How much involved is indeed the Wagner group?
Well, actually, Wagner group is involved in central Mali, not at all in Burkina Faso. We have a map also to show us the areas of operation of Wagner group. And if we look at this map carefully, we see that compared to the map we saw before, those are the same areas of activity of jihadi groups, meaning the impact of Wagner on the ground was null. They had no impact on jihadi activity, but on the contrary, jihadi activity increased there because there was no access for French Air Force or French Special Forces to Malian soil. Knowing also, as you said, that Wagner was known to be to commit human rights abuses. This was documented by the United Nations, but also, as you said, by Human Rights Watch report. There were 4 reports since beginning of June till now, accusing Malian forces and Wagner regarding Mali and jihadi groups, but in Burkina Faso too, they were accused of human rights abuses, and we can see also maps that shows us the evolution of the situation in the Sahel as a whole regarding human rights abuses. So here you see Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The blue dots are the incidents, and the red dots are the fatalities due to those incidents. And the next visual we'll see the numbers, how they evolved in all those 3 countries. And as you see, there's a peak in Mali, there's a peak in Burkina Faso, while the situation in Niger is mostly stabilized if we are counting since 2017. If we focus more on Burkina Faso, we can see a more detailed visual, and here it is. And we see the number of fatalities in 2023 is exploding, knowing that we are still in July. Compared to 2022.
And what is actually the humanitarian situation on the ground as a result?
But the actual local populations are summed to choose sides, either between the Islamic State or Al-Qaeda in the areas of conflict, or to aid local forces, either military or militias, and to pay at the end of the day when the jihadis come back. And we know, for example, in localities like in Mali, in the Masina area, the recruitments are among Fulani populations, but even inside the Fulani population there is castes. So lower castes are avenging from a higher caste using the jihadi factor. And here what we see is the cutting of a road in Burkina Faso, a national road. It is quite rare to see how they do it, and you see the trucks. So when they try to put a blocus on a town, they cut the roads like this with motorbikes, heavy machine guns. They hit and run attacks. But actually, when they cut the road, they cut it for the military, for government officials, but also for the civilian population, which means that the civilians always pay the highest price because of inner fighting between jihadis, because attacks by the jihadis, but also, which is the most concerning, due to attacks by government forces and affiliated militias or Wagner regarding Mali.
Wassim Nasr, thank you so much for your analysis.